You know, we often hear from couples that are going through a crisis and there's one spouse that really feels the need to go to counseling, but for some reason the other spouse doesn't agree, and that's such a frustrating place to be, and so we want to talk about that with you today.
Yeah, and first we want to just acknowledge what Ashley said, the frustration. That's really a key word there that you must be feeling. But we also want to help make sure that frustration doesn't turn into resentment. Because I think oftentimes when you have expectations of your spouse that you feel like are not being met, or you feel that you're alone in the marriage in any way, that frustration can lead to resentment. And then that resentment can actually push your spouse further away instead of drawing them in to a healthy place.
Yeah.
And so keep your heart open toward your spouse. And I think one way to keep your heart open is to pray. You know, pray specifically for your marriage and pray specifically for your spouse. Like we say on the Naked Marriage podcast a lot, it's hard to stay mad at your spouse when you're also praying for them daily, because God will use that prayer to not only change your situation, but He'll also use it to kind of change your perspective and soften your heart towards your spouse, and really look at the situation through a different lens and look for ways to meet your spouse's needs. You know, let them know, yes, I have a desire to go to counseling because I want our marriage to be all that it can be. But don't just talk about your desire. Say, how can I meet your desire? What can I do for you? And really take on that servant attitude. When you're serving your spouse, it's going to take the guard down. It's going to take those barriers down and eventually make them much more willing to want to meet that need that you have.
And I would say too, if you're ready to go to counseling right now, it doesn't mean that you can't go alone. I think there's a lot of benefit in one spouse going to counseling and learning how to have a better marriage. Now, it does take two, absolutely. And the hope is that one day your spouse will come alongside you and go with you. But in the meantime, go by yourself and learn the things that you can do to reach out to your spouse and to show them that counseling is beneficial. I think there's ways that you can encourage them in what you're learning personally at counseling and say, you know, listen, in counseling, I was talking about this issue we deal with. I had no idea I was doing this to you, and it's really opened my eyes, and you know, I'm so thankful I'm going because I had this big blind spot, and now I'm not going to do that to you anymore. I'm not going to say those things to you anymore. And I think when you're that open and vulnerable about what you're learning personally, they don't feel under attack. I think so many times spouses don't go to counseling because it's fear of the unknown, and there's this stigma attached to it where they feel like, oh, I must be damaged if I'm going to counseling. But what they need to find out is that you, as their spouse, you're not going because you're going to point fingers at them. You're going because you want to learn what you can do. And that's really the huge benefit of counseling, is knowing how you can make personal improvements. And so when they see that in you, they're going to be much more willing to go, and they're going to realize that counseling doesn't show weakness. Going to counseling shows great strength and great wisdom.
Yeah, I mean, the Bible talks about there being wisdom in seeking out a multitude of counselors.
Yes,
There's
absolutely.
success in that. And in our own marriage and our own lives, you know, we've been to a counselor together, and we've been to counseling individually, and all of that was
For years.
incredibly
Yes.
beneficial to us. So seek that out. If you want someone to talk to, if you need a place to start, we have coaches right here at Marriage Today who can talk with you over the phone and provide some of that online or over the phone. If you want to connect with them, go to this site, marriagetoday.com/coaches. And they are so encouraging, so gifted to be just a listening ear, but also to provide some very, very wise counsel to help you take that next step, whether you feel alone in the situation or if it's something you and your spouse together are trying to navigate.
It's so true. Those coaches are amazing. So definitely don't hesitate. If you feel the need for counseling, go ahead and reach out. Even if it is individually, you're going to have such a great experience and learn so much about yourself and about how your marriage can improve. If you want more information about this, don't hesitate to go to xomarriage.com and make sure you subscribe to this YouTube channel. We'll see you next time.